Yo, don't forget to subscribe. Hit the like button and that notification bell. It's your boy Carcino here. And if you look at the banner, the Patreon is rocking right now. Talking about this subject right here. So the Patreon has been talking about this interview with Stephen A. Smith that he did on the podcast show. Not his podcast, by the way. Someone else's podcast that's bigger than him. And we're going to get to that. Like what he was doing there, what was the purpose, the whole nine. Now, old Brick decided, in his most infinite wisdom, to mention Kwame Brown because they actually brought it up. But then he wanted to tackle it live on their show. And the reason why he wanted to do that is because he saw Kwame Brown on the pivot. And he has admitted to watching Kwame Brown's videos. And I'm going to give my thoughts on all of this. I know Kwame's going to have something to say. And he speaks for himself, so I don't have to speak for him. But my thoughts from being an outside person who has watched this over the years. Now, Stephen A. Smith is playing the victim card by saying someone else is calling the victim card. If you repeatedly harassed a man for years, and now that that person isn't playing anymore, you still find a way to drag that person's name through the mud. It's like, what are you doing it for? That person don't even play anymore. And you're still doing it? He played for 13 years. You did it for 13 years. Drug this man's name in the dirt. For saying, oh, it was personal for him. It wasn't personal for me. Might not have been. But to the person you done it to, they're the ones who decide how personal it is. They the ones who get to decide how they should feel about it, Stephen A. Because what you do is, once the fire has died out, you move on to something else. You keep coming back, ribbing somebody, makes it feel like it's personal. I mean, 20 years of you talking about the same person, cracking jokes on the same person? Hell no, they ain't gonna like you. Was it personal for Bubba Chuck? And what you did for him? Was that personal? See, if you let these people talk long enough, they expose themselves. I had to go through a whole bunch of BS and red tape every time I made a video with your name in the title, Stephen A. I'm probably going to go through red tape with this video because your name's in the title, Stephen A. But I know, like you know, there's nothing wrong with this video. Just like they knew. They just wanted to mess up the monetization on it and flag it and find a reason to slow it down. because you got people in high places and you don't want them seeing this. But we make the video anyway because the people need to be informed about what type of person you are. You're a low down, dirty snake and a coward. You could have reached out to Kwame Brown and said, hey, I was wrong. But your ego won't let you do that. Saying, well, now that I'm older, if I look back, I wouldn't have done it like that. I'm not going to apologize to Kwame Brown, but I'll say I shouldn't have done it like that. Well, the reason why you're not doing it like that now is because the world has become super sensitive to bullying. This so-called woke era. You spoke out about Rihanna and how you dogged her last week without even talking about, I was just doing a debate. Then you're trying to throw Sherry Shepherd under the bus, saying they wanted to do a debate style. That's the only reason why. Nobody asked you to throw Rihanna under the bus and try to make her sound less than Beyonce. You see, when people get a microphone in front of their face, they turn into different people. Is Kwame Brown a perfect person? Did he make mistakes on the basketball court? Probably. Absolutely. Everybody makes mistakes. Did you make mistakes, Stephen A? At your job? Do they tease you every day about your hairline starting in the back of your head? Do they tease you with that every day? I bet you if they did that every single day on First Take, you'll take it personal. I think you would take it very personal. So your hypocrisy and your standards and all your BS, nobody's falling for it. Because we all know what you truly stand for. We know what you are, Stephen A. Now, here's another thing. This dude went on a whole book tour talking about straight shooter. When you a straight hypocrite, that's what it should be called. Probably would have sold more copies. That thing is sitting on the shelves and ain't moving. You know why? No one cares about you. You're not interesting. You don't have anything going on that anybody really focuses on or care about. If you're not on First Take, no one really cares. Why did you not mention Kwame Brown until you got on those white boy shows? Don't worry. I'll wait. Once you got on the White Boys podcast, that's when you spoke up about Kwame Brown. So you mean to tell me on all the brothers podcast shows that you've done, they didn't bring up Kwame Brown at all? That these white boys are the only one to bring up Kwame Brown. And then you were so eager to talk about it. It's because you were embarrassed. You were fully embarrassed. And you said, let me stay back because it's hurting me. That's why you stayed away from Kwame Brown. Because you didn't have that approach when Kwame first opened his mouth. You was like, oh, Kwame Brown, I'm going to respond. Stephen A's World coming up on ESPN Plus. And you went up there and showed all these basketball highlights that your team put together and echoed the same sentiments of what he was saying. There's one thing to be critical, and then there's another thing to just completely dog somebody. A lot of people say, man, you dog LeBron. I'm dogging LeBron because he deserved to be dogged. His ways and actions tell you everything you need to know about him. Period. And then, check this out. Check this out. 20 years from now, will I be talking about LeBron? I don't think so. He's actively still being a menace to the game of basketball. He adds no value. He brings the game down to a crawl. Even right now, still the piece of gum under my shoe. And I'm going to tell the truth about it. Where ESPN and the rest of these propaganda shows are going to promote him because they're in the business of promoting him. Now, if I was like a lot of these other YouTube channels who just kiss up, the doors are open and they'll have I'll have no problems with this nonsense that's going on. And that'll be that. But you can't when you have all of this nonsense going on. Well, there's a legitimate code of conduct, right? There should be a code of conduct for ESPN, a standard saying that you can't do this to us. That there has to be some level of professionalism. Because you don't do it to white athletes, you only do it to black athletes. And when you did try to do it to those white athletes, they complained and y'all stopped immediately. Darko complained and nobody brought his name up again. And he was more than happy. Just leave him alone. Quit bringing up, he was the number 2 pick in the draft, and this is as far as he got. He's tired of hearing it. Just leave it be. He's back overseas. Now, Stephen A. supposed to be selling a book that he's rarely talking about. He's talking about everything like he would talk on First Take. And for what? You have First Take, a radio show, a podcast show, and you got to fill in for anything ESPN wants you to do. Hey, Brick, why you ain't never explained why you was at those colleges? That's very interesting to me. Why you didn't explain why you were at those colleges? You were appearing at universities for no reason. Supposed to be inspiring the youth, but yet you're sitting there cracking jokes about Kwame Brown. At universities, doing tours, going to Vanderbilt, speaking and lecturing at universities. You got jealous of Max Kellerman because people thought Max had a more appeal to the people, the brothers, than you did. They was like, man, I thought Max Kellerman would be the sellout, would be, the typical corporate man. And it's you. Not knowing Max grew up around the brothers. Max Kellerman's brother was killed by a brother who let him live in their house. Max and Sam used to have a rap song. They used to be a rap duo. Max really hung around none but brothers. When he was in boxing, that's all he really did. He hung around the brothers all day. He was in the boxing gym. Loved the sport. Tell us something, Brick. So we can be clear on it, Brick. You doing all of this work. You got all of these titles, all of these jobs at ESPN, and you get to walk around like you King Kong. And realistically, you make about probably what, 200,000 a month. Seriously, you're making about 200,000 a month, and that ain't bad. Probably a little less than that, but not that we're counting. But your net worth is around 10 million total. They got to come with the big bag for you, right? So you're doing all of these shows and you trying to get your podcast done. Wouldn't you say you're a bigger name than Joe Rogan? Well, probably not. Joe Rogan's been doing UFC for a while, even though people have been watching you on ESPN. You're just an analyst. So that's not fair to compare you to Joe Rogan, who makes, about 100 million. So that's not even fair to put you in that category. Let's put you in your field. Shannon Sharp, his net worth is over yours. Skip Bayless, they get paid more than you. Why is that? They do less work and they get paid more than you. But they never brag on it. You keep claiming y'all the number one show, but you and your compadre, You keep mentioning them, and they never mention you. Not once do they mention you on the show. You mentioned Shannon Sharp and what Shannon Sharp should do. Shannon Sharp never mentions you. So why, if you're number one, do you keep mentioning number two? Because you know that your numbers are faulty. You're only number one because you have more outlets. If they had the same amount of outlets as ESPN, you wouldn't be number one. Your show is done. Your stick is done. First Take is dead in the water. And it's been dead in the water for the past 5-6 years. And y'all been milking something that's dying. Now, you're just doing it for the money. You want to do something else. I've known that for years. You've known that for years. So you're lying to yourself every day you come into that office or work to do First Take. You're bored. So all your butt kissing that you've done, hell, Colin Cowherd net worth is bigger than yours. He's getting more. How the Fox dudes make it more than the ESPN dudes with less work? Hell, Stephen A. got to mop up the place. They gonna have him mop it up before the damn day over. They're gonna be Steve. I know it's your off day, but we got a spill in the back. We need you to come in and get that up for the show start tomorrow. Can you do that for us? Thanks, Steve. What's going on here, man?